Hello everyone and welcome to the channel. I'm Emmanuel, I'm an airline pilot, and welcome to Beijing's Daxing International Airport. We're going to fly to Amsterdam today on the China Southern Airbus A350. I'm pretty excited for this flight as it leads across Russia, since Chinese airlines are still flying there and we haven't flown across Russia in a long time on this channel. So let's go ahead and get inside and start to prepare our aircraft. I haven't prepared anything yet, so the gates aren't connected, pretty much nothing is done, so that you guys can get to see the full story. So let's start with the basic safety checks down here, ensuring that our aircraft is ready for flight, and then we can start to power the batteries up and get the external power units going. Now from here on, the aircraft is going to take a little while to start powering up. We are going to use that time to review our flight plan, which we have, as always, generated through SimBrief. So let's go ahead and have a look. Now we start on the route down here, and this is our route. This is a real-life routing, by the way, that I have generated through adgla.co.uk. Awesome website, very much recommended. Now, we can see our flight leads us north through Mongolia and then pretty much all the way through Russia until we end up in Finland, and then from there across Sweden, Denmark and Germany into the Netherlands. If we look at the significant weather chart, we can see a couple of jet streams over here and some moderate clear turbulence forecast up to flight level 360. So chances are we are going to encounter a little bit of turbulence on the initial part of our flight across Mongolia. Thereafter, Russia seems pretty much clear of anything, and so does Europe. So overall, we are looking at a very smooth flight, except for the first maybe hour and a half to a maximum of the first 2 hours. In terms of weather information, we do have a couple of SIGMETs over at Russia. Most importantly, we have severe turbulence forecast that line over here, but only below flight level 100, so that's not really going to affect us. And the 2 SIGMETs at St. Petersburg are only low-level stuff as well, so not really going to affect us either. Weather is very good over here. Beijing is actually reporting K, and our destination Schiphol showers in the vicinity, few TCUs, but overall good weather conditions. And our alternate Düsseldorf is very good today as well. So then we can move up a little bit, and we can see that we arrive 40 minutes ahead of schedule at a cost index of 15, so there is really no reason to take any extra fuel over here on this flight. So if we go down into our fuel plan, they'd say 66.2 plus 400, let's round that up, 67 tons of fuel shall be absolutely fine for our flight today. Alright, and with that, we can go ahead and set up GSX down here. So first things first, let's ensure that they start with the catering, which should normally have been here already by the time that the crew comes on board, but so be it. China Southern Catering, I suppose. Then you may also go ahead and connect that jetway, please. And you can also go ahead and provide us with some fresh water. So let's do the water service here as well. Alright, so that much about those basics. Now with them going on, let's continue our SOP. So let's turn those batteries off again, cross-check the voltages up here. All above 25, very good, and then the batteries are coming back on. ADRS is coming online, and then we can do our recall for 3 seconds, verifying that there is no stored message anywhere here, and it doesn't look like it. Dispatch page is clear as well. Fire test. And then we can start up the APU so that we get some air conditioning going. Alright, while that's happening, we can continue to work on our electronic flight bag. So let's start to initialize the flight down here. China Southern 345, Beijing to Amsterdam. And yes, that is the real-world flight number. Just like Emirates 123 also exists. Just mentioning that. So we wanted to take 67 tons today. And then we can set the zero fuel weight, and we can set the fuel. And with that, GSX is basically ready for boarding as soon as we have completed our catering. Alright then, synchronize SimBrief, synchronize the weather. Looks like I've been a little bit too quick over here. So, conf 1 plus F, air conditioning off, let's compute that. Max takeoff weight 333, so easy going for us. Then onto the terminal charts, we can grab Beijing over here, and we can get the ground chart. Let's have a quick look into which area we might need. Parking over here, and we're taxiing all the way to the runway over here, so that's got to be this one, APC number 1. So let's grab the APCs, and APC number 1, wherever that is, down here. Very well hidden. Here we go. 195, that's what we're on. Okay, perfect. Then the last thing we need is our SID, and we can find that down here. ITCAX 6 kilo departure. So let's find that. SID runway 11 left. That's the plan for today. And then via ITCAX. Here it is. Alright, so far so good. So that's our EFB pretty much prepared. Last thing I'm gonna do is to download all those charts over here. And for whatever reason it's signed me out of Navigraph, it seems. Let's quickly go into here and cross-check that. Oh yeah, they did update the Inbuilt 350. This is version 1.0.3. So we have probably, yeah, lost our Navigraph login, so just gotta redo that. And here we go. So nav data, you can update that one as well. And well, here we go. Now the latest nav data is installed, and that's it. Perfect. Alright, so now back to the en route charts, and we do want the IFR high day charts, and we're going to download those for the entire flight. So let's zoom out a little bit. So pretty much like this, and for the night as well. Perfect. Well, and then all the way back in, and that's our EFB setup complete. So, looks like they're just about finishing up the catering in the back. Here we go, catering is complete. That's excellent. Then let's ensure that they can start the boarding. So, APU bleed is coming on, refueling is completed, 67 tons on board, so fasten seatbelt signs on, emergency exit lights on, and we will go to APU Econ mode here for a little while. And with that out of the way, let's go ahead and request boarding. Alright, boarding requested. The rest is going to happen automatically now. And with that, we have pretty much concluded the major part of what we had to do here in terms of getting all the ground services ready. So now we can focus on our flight again. And there really shouldn't be that much for us to consider here. Let's see if we need some oil. Nope, 18.6 is awesome on both sides. Perfect. Alright. Well then, let's go ahead and start to set up our aircraft. So, evacuation switch on captain, crew supply on, flight recorder on, ELT armed, lights are set, signs are on, APU bleed is on as per Airbus recommendation, fuel pumps coming on. We do have some temperature sensitive cargo, so we are going to turn on the temperature controls, and we will need something around 20 degrees up here. Actually, aft one is going to go down to 5 as we have temperature sensitives down there as well. Alright, so CVR test is looking good. And then let's go right down here. QNH 1017 is set and going down. Well, radios. Unfortunately, no ATC online at the time I'm recording these. I know that you guys keep asking about VATSIM, but yeah, If there is no ATC online at the time I have time to film, then I'm afraid there's not all that much we can do. Okay, so that stuff's set, and then the same on the other end side. Again, recent question, is there any difference between the pilot flying and the pilot monitoring, respectively captain and first officer, when setting up the radios? No, not at all, both are using the same. On today's flight we would actually have a third pilot on board. The Chinese are flying with enlarged crews very, very often, and this flight is actually long enough that you do need one anyway, so let's set up the third RMP as well. Alright, so making our way up to the MFD then. So ADSC is connected, message record is checked empty, and the transponder is off. Alright, and then we can go right on to the FMS setup. So A350-900, and the database is current at the time of the recording. No pilot stored elements, and then we can go onto the init page and request our flight plan. In order to make it easier to set everything up at the same time, oh, interesting, look at that. It removed all my apps with the latest MSFS update. Alright, that's fine. Then we've just got to use it down here. And switch around a little bit between the OIS and the FMS. Alright, so China Southern 345 from Beijing to Amsterdam, alternate Düsseldorf. Cruise flight level 341. Remember, China uses meters in upper airspace. And for this reason we can actually select meters down here as well. So display meters on, and here they are. Alright, so let's see. Top of climb, and the temperature minus 55, tropopause in 34,000. So minus 54. And tropopause in 34,000. So, company wind data request. Downloading, taking a little while, and here it is. Insert. Perfect. IRSs aligned and in nav mode. Our departure of runway 11 left. And our SID is the ITCAX departure. So let's see. ITCAX 6 kilo. Here it is. Alright, flight plan insert. Then let's go ahead and have a look at that one. Flight plan, constraints. You go to the very top, please. And here's our departure chart. So straight ahead, Alpha Delta 511, left turn, waypoint 512 between 3940 and 4930. Then we continue towards waypoint 513 above 4930, waypoint 514 above 6890. And then we've got 515, 516, and ITCAX above 13,780, and that's looking all right. Conversion chart over here, very useful thing. Arrival in Amsterdam. At the moment they're using runway 36 center. We'll have to see if that's gonna stay or if we gotta change that for the arrival, but I'm happy with that. So ILS 36 center. The star is going to be the Ilde 1 Alpha arrival, and transition coming from RTIP. Alright, and insert that. Perfect, then back over here, nav 8. We don't really need anything for this one, it's completely enough. And then back to fuel and load, let's see what we've got. So, according to the flight plan, we have a zero fuel weight at 185.1. So, 185.1. The CG is unknown for the time being, since loading is still in progress, and the block fuel 67 tons. Passengers, we have 314, which is full house for China Southern. Then let's have a look at our fuel figures. Here we are, alternate 2.6, final reserve 2.4. Not sure what this is calculating here, but 2.6 and 2.4. Okay, so taxi fuel 0.4, and the reserves are going to reset themselves all the time anyway. Nonetheless, let's enter 3% already. Okay, perfect. So that's that part set up. Then let's go down onto the flight plan page where we can start to enter our step altitudes. For these, we got to go back up in our flight plan. So we've got Vanco at 11,000 meters. 11,000 meters, if we... Hold on a moment. Down here are our charts. If we look at that, 11,000 meters, flight level 361. And that's at Vanco. So let's find that one over here. Is it Vanco or Venvo? Since we have that one as well. It's Venvo. Okay. Good thing that we checked this. So, flight level 361. Then the next one is going to be 360 at Amuta. So, that list please. And let's find Amuta. Here it is. Flight level 360. Then our next step is going to be 380 at Bapno. So Bapno, flight level 380. And then we've got flight level 400 over GTOT. So GTOT, flight level 400. Alright, and that's all the steps for today's flight. Insert that. Then we can go on to the flight plan info and the fix info page. Enter our departure runway here. Zulu Bravo Alpha Delta 11 left. Now we need the runway track, which we can get from the departure chart, 111. Like this. And then we can also set up the engine out fix, which is going to be, well, what's the IATA code of Beijing here? Papa Kilo X-ray. X, yeah, I don't know, call it 2, I don't care. Not in database. That should have opened the new waypoints page. I'm gonna file a bug report about that one. In any case, let's go ahead and create that one manually real quick. So, new waypoint, PKXX2, and that's from Zulu Bravo Alpha Delta 11 left. Come on. Like that, on a bearing of 111, straight ahead for 25 miles. Like this, store waypoint, and now we are able to insert it on the fixed page as well. So, PKXX2. Perfect. Here we go. So then, off to the secondary flight plan. Import active. No, didn't mean to do flight plan request, but we can just discard it when it arrives. So let's just press clear. Alright, flight plan of runway 11 left. Next waypoint. Peking X2. And then we'll enter a holding over there as well. Pretty much like this, 1 minute lag time. Here we go. And after that we do want to go to a new destination, and that's coming back in case of an emergency landing. So quick check, what's the weather here? 060 at 3. So that means, let's get the overview chart. We are probably landing north then, so 01 left sounds good to me. So Beijing, arrival, runway 1 left, approach ILS. Quick check, that's all looking good. Perfect. Alright, so that stuff is in. Then let's go ahead and uplink the takeoff data, send to FMS. Confirm, and that's all looking good. Engine outset 1500 AGL, so 1600. Transition altitude 9850. Let's cross check that. On the SID chart, Lido chart always bottom right, and 9850 is indeed the standard transition altitude. Very good. So last thing for us to do is to check the climb page. Auto derate is inserted. Position monitor. Zulu Bravo Alpha Delta 11 left. And here we go. So that's our FMS setup completed. Optimum flight level 364, so we're probably gonna go up to 361 straight away. Flight plan called for level 341. Gonna keep that for the time being, but fairly sure we'll do that step climb, or just climb to that level pretty much straight away. So, if we now reinsert our takeoff data, we have 15 minutes of extra fuel, 1.3 tons, and that equals pretty much exactly what we have on our flight plan as well. Perfect. So, since boarding is ongoing, let's deactivate the APU Econ mode in order to save a little bit of fuel. Then we can download our airport data on our on our ANF, and that is probably going to take a little while, since this is a rather complex airport. So let's just give this a few moments. In the meantime, QNH 1017, we can set this up, we can set our initial climb. We do want meters as well. And our first altitude restriction is at 4,930. So we're gonna set 5,000 on the FCU. And that's this. Alright. You can have a little bit of displays as well, and then we can do the oxygen test. Well, still not 100% simulated with 1.03, but happy with that. So here we go. Alright, cool. So with that, our setup is pretty much completed. Now, boarding is still ongoing. If we look out here, they have already finished loading our cargo. The tug is already connected. But there are still guests coming in through our jetway. That's alright. We can use the time for our departure briefing, and thereafter we'll get ready for pushback. Okay, perfect. So we're departing Beijing, runway 11 left on the ITCAG 6 kilo departure. Initial climb 4,930 feet, 5,000 up on the FCU, and the MSA on today's departure is somewhere around 3,000 and a bit. Now, extra fuel and time, 15 minutes. Thank you very much for that. So we are going to taxi out. No hotspots. Well, there is one hotspot over here, taking incorrect taxiway. Parking over here, so there are a couple of hotspots. Taxi out, most likely push back to the left-hand side, maybe to the right-hand side. We might have to do the 180 over here, which would cut our taxi routing short a little bit. But we may just push to the other side as well and then taxi out over here. In the case we're coming from here, the hotspot isn't really interesting. But if we're coming from down here, that hotspot is something we've got to pay a bit of attention to. And hotspot 14 is not really going to matter for us. So then via Mike 1 to the runway 11 left. Stop margin in case of rejected is not a lot. And if we need to make an immediate return, we are like 45 tons above the maximum landing weight. So if we have time available, then we are going to do the overweight landing procedure. If we don't have time available, just throw on the APU, get the APU bleed going. No fuel dumping system installed on this aircraft, by the way. So apart from that, I don't have any specials or non-standards over here. Well, maybe we can talk about the metric system here a little bit. So as you can see on our SID chart, there are a lot of restrictions which do look rather strange, but if we look into the conversion chart over here, then we can see that all those restrictions, such as 4,930 feet, actually equal quite some round values in form of meters. The Chinese are still using meters, so we got to deal with that. And we do have the conversion chart over here, which we are going to refer to for any clearances received. Alright, and that's all I have to offer. Threats for the departure, honestly, don't see any. So that's our briefing completed. Before start, checklist down to the line, please. Okay, gear pins and covers, removed. Fuel quantity, 66,900 kilograms. Takeoff data, set. Barrel reference, QNH 1017. Before start checklist complete, down to the line. Alright, so let's see what's going on with our boarding. Why do they assume 450 passengers? What's wrong with you, GSX? It's 314 and those should have been on board for a long time already. Alright, well, I suppose we'll just let them do their thing. And then I see you as soon as boarding is completed. So it looks like boarding is completed. Then let's get right back into our cockpit and start to work on our aircraft. So, quick check over here. Boarding completed indeed. Can only check that on the actual GSX menu, by the way, not within the integration in the EFB. Okay, so that also means we now have our final data, and that's going to be 185.1, just like we have it, and a CG at 31.3. So like this. Alright, block fuel 67 is okay, and that gives us still 16 minutes extra. Takeoff performance should be unchanged, but let's go ahead and synchronize that once again and compute. And that's unchanged indeed. 49, 160, 163, 169. And that's exactly what we have. Perfect. So let's request pushback and departure, and then we can also say hello to our guests. Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, from a flight deck, this is your captain speaking. My name is Emmanuel. Welcome aboard our China Southern Flight 345 towards Amsterdam. The flight time today has been calculated at 10 hours and 20 minutes. We expect a smooth flight for the majority of our flight. Only the first hour and a half to a maximum of 2 hours across Mongolia may be a little bit turbulent. We would like to thank you for being our guests today. Sit back, relax, and enjoy our flight, and we will update you with the latest weather on approach to Amsterdam. Ground from flight deck, go ahead. So, please confirm all doors and hatches are closed, ground equipment is removed, and bypass pin is installed. That's all confirmed. Okay, thank you very much. Call you back for pushback. Stand by. So, before start checklist below the line. Cabin crew, arms lights. Okay, doors closed, park and brake set, before start checklist complete. Okay, ground flight deck, go ahead. So, push approved, facing south. Park and brake is now released. Thank you very much. Clear the push facing south and stand by for engines. Stand by. Alright, my friends, and here we go. Now I'm interested to see how GSX is going to handle the pushback with that turn over there. Do you guys think they're going to push us into the turn and then place us somewhere strange? Or do you think GSX is going to do this well? We are using a profile for Beijing, by the way, so technically speaking, it shouldn't be too difficult for GSX. Alright, clear up the road, and then we'll clear to start the engines. So, timer is running. Just to be 100% sure, I did turn off APU Econ mode. That's what we wanted to see. Engine 1 start. So we will have a slightly longer taxi here due to the pushback direction, but that is totally fine. It is a nice airport to taxi across. I think Time Models have done a good job on the textures here. It just feels immersive, you know, they didn't make it look too uniform, but much rather you have a lot of dirt everywhere and I don't know, it just looks good. It just looks good. Lots of details on here. Right, push complete, set brakes. Brake set. Okay, ground. We have a good start in engine number 1, starting engine number 2. Clear 2. So let's just wait until a veil is showing. Here we are. Engine 2 start. Hard at work down here, removing our equipment. And the pin. Bye-bye. One Chinese less. Okay, ground. We have 2 good engine starts. Clear to disconnect. Show me the pin on the right, please. Have a wonderful day. Bye-bye. So, and there she is. Perfect. Pin is seen. Clear signal is seen. Both engines are started. And after start checklist, please. Anti-ice, off, after start checklist complete. Flight controls, full up, full down, neutral. Full left, full right, neutral. Rudder, full left, full right, neutral. Someone recently asked me why I say neutral if the aileron isn't in the middle position. That's actually intentional. When the flaps are out, then the ailerons are drooping a little bit as well, and you can actually see that position marked with that little white circle down there. And that just generates a little bit more lift. Okay, clear right side, clear left side. So, taxi out, straight ahead, Zulu 1, Tango 4, Bravo, and then Mike to the runway. Brake check. Brakes okay. And off we go. By the way, quick visit into the options down here. On to the throttle calibration. But for some reason it's reset it. So let's just reassign the idle value. We're on an apron here, shouldn't go too fast, maximum 15 knots. So let's try to play nice. We don't want to get demoted on our first flight, do we? Not saying it couldn't happen though. You keep hearing those stories from Chinese airlines. A captain just turned the wrong way into a taxiway, and the reaction is to demote him. In my opinion, not justified at all. Mistakes happen. But some airlines do have these kind of policies. I'm not saying that this particular one we are flying today has, but some Chinese operators do. Okay, clear on the right side, clear on the left side. Then let's go next to the left, onto Tango 4. So, A350 900 today again, we don't need that much oversteering. We still need quite a bit to be honest, but at least compared to the 350 1000 we don't. Alright, so I have no changes to our takeoff briefing. We turn the third taxiway to the left hand side, so the one over there. Actually the fourth, all the way at the end. Alright. And then like I didn't press the config push button long enough. Here we go. Daxing is always a little bit of an energy management exercise. Basically, any acceleration uses up fuel, and you always gotta ask yourself, for how long am I actually gonna have the benefits? And the answer is usually not for too long, unless you are really going in a straight line for a long time. On top of that, you also need to slow it down again, because it's not really gonna slow down in idle. So you do need to apply brakes. That in turn wears down your brakes and uses up some and heats them up a little bit, meaning you have less margin available if you reject the takeoff. So that's things that you should consider when taxiing a wide-body aircraft such as the A350. The 330 is also pretty, yeah, let's say pretty susceptible to that. It happens over there as well. Alright, now we have a little longer line, so up to 30% as recommended, and then we can just let it accelerate a little bit. Alright, so no changes to the briefing. Before takeoff checklist down to the line, please. Flight controls, checked. Flight instruments, checked. Briefing, confirmed. V1, V2 thrust rating, 16016, is it 164? No. 160, 163, 169, flex 49. Squawk, set, before takeoff checklist, complete to the line. Okay, so third taxiway on the right, which is Mike, and that's going to lead us all the way to the runway. I couldn't find any good data on how exactly they're taxiing in the real airport, so I had to make this taxi routing up for myself, but I think it works quite well, so I'm rather happy with that. Unfortunately, one of the problems with the A350 is that it really only turns the transponder into mode Charlie when you lift off, when you go airborne, and that in turn means that not a lot of data is available on how those aircraft taxi on the ground. You usually only see them when they go airborne. I was lucky enough to be able to find our departure gate through a vlog in YouTube. So I just looked at a real-world flight report from this particular flight, and the gate number was visible on that. That's how I could determine our departure gate. But for taxi routes and stuff like that, this is a little bit more complicated on the 350 than it is on some older aircraft where the pilots turn on the transponders, let's say, manually, and where there isn't that much automation involved. That way, if you just zoom in all the way in Flight Radar 24, you can typically determine your departure runway. That's a little bit more difficult with A350s. 380s as well, by the way. Probably same technology in there. Okay, so next taxiway to the left is going to be our runway already, so let's prepare for takeoff. So, takeoff clearance is received. We'll turn on both weather and terrain. Cabin crew, prepare for departure, please. And before takeoff checklist below the line. Takeoff runway. 11 left, full length. Cabin crew, advised, packed. Off before takeoff checklist complete. Now, some have asked me in the past, why do you do the lineup items that early? The answer is quite simple. Once we're cleared for takeoff, we can already do them. And of course it is much easier in the single pilot environment in flight simulation to do that as well, but to be honest, in the real world I do the same. When the takeoff clearance is received, we go ahead and do the items. Okay, so 11 left is indeed confirmed, full length. Well, There isn't really any approach that we'd have to consider, but if there was, it would be clear. Alright, are you ready to go? Sounds excellent. Take off. Manflex 49, SRS, auto thrust blue. Thrust set. Knots, checked. Pretty high takeoff speeds. We need a long distance here. Rotate. Positive climb. Gear up. Nav, checked. Alright, we're up and airborne. So, going through 1000. Always pitch down first and reduce thrust second. Thrust decline, climb auto thrust. Packs on. Flap 0, speed checked. Flap 0. After takeoff checklist down to the line, please. Looks like I forgot to hit the checklist complete button here. So, after takeoff checklist down to the line complete. Alright, so we're up in the air. We do have that 4,930 foot restriction over here, and I will actually level off over there just to show you how that would work in practical terms here. So, of course, reducing my rate of climb, going to vertical speed, does affect our altitude target, since we are now in selected modes and no longer in managed modes, but welcome to the modern world of TCAS avoidance. So, set vertical speed 1000. Now, there are common and agreed rules on how you would fly your metric altitudes with the non-metric aircraft, like, you know, Airbuses, Boeings, etc. McDonnell Douglas was nice there. On the MD-11, they had the ability to dial in meters directly. Now, if we were in managed modes, then it would just give us that 4930 in managed over there. If you want to be 100% precise, you could do that. And just prior to the level off, you could just go back to managed climb. You just got to be sure that you're close enough that autothrust doesn't add full power anymore. Because obviously when you push the altitude knob in, it would go right back into maximum climb thrust. So let's just wait until we are just before the restriction like this. And here we go, speed, all constraint star, and now we're actually leveling off at 4930 exactly. Otherwise, it would also be permissible to level off at 5000. In the route manual, you will find exact conversion altitudes of what you're allowed to dial in your FCU in order to meet those magic altitude constraints. But this is pretty much how this is done. So let's say that we get continued climb clearance here. Climb blue. And passing the constraint, thrust decline, climb, alt, flight, 1000 blue. Well, and that's how you do this. So, as you can see, it's fairly easy going. Not much to worry about at all there. So, engines are running back up, we're resuming a normal climb. That's just about perfect. Alright. Autopilot 1. None of those next altitude constraints are going to be a problem. I did have that one here in mind on the ground, but looks like we're out climbing it easily. I always forget that the 350 is just made for so much longer routes that even though we are flying like 10 hours and 20 minutes today, our takeoff weight is just about 251 tons. As you can see, the max takeoff weight is 283, so we actually have like 32 tons of margin to the maximum weight here. So really a great aircraft. Really a great aircraft in terms of what it can do with its climb performance. So we're in climb thrust, we no longer need the chrono over here as we've got the elapsed timer running. What do we have down here? Speed limit exceeded, yeah, forget about it. Those messages should automatically clear again once the triggering condition no longer exists. So the speed limit exceeded should have gone away once we were below 250 again. And you know, a couple of knots, who cares? Can't fly that precisely anyway. Well, technically speaking you can, but you get where I'm going with this. So, our FO's en route chart is already prepared. Let's also get the display up at a proper range. Because, as you can see, there is a bit of mountainous terrain over here, going up to 6,900 feet. After all, they have been able to hold Olympic Winter Games in China in 2022. Alright, set standard. Standard cross-check, passing flight level 102. Now, after takeoff checklist below the line. Barrel ref, standard set. After takeoff checklist complete. Alright then, through level 100, lights off. Well, I think we can turn the signs off for the time being and then we'll just see how things are going to develop. Weather is okay here for the time being, terrain on your side is okay as well. We don't have any nav aids, and optimum 353, maximum 363. Interesting, so that came down quite a bit from our pre-flight. I wonder why that is, and I honestly can't tell you. In any case, 341 is a good cruising level then, because I don't want to go all the way to 361, all the way to the maximum yet. So we'll take 341 initially, and looking at this, the step climb, well, comes like 15 minutes later. Yeah, I tell you what, for 13 minutes cruise it's not worth it. The maximum is probably going to increase a little bit as we burn fuel in the climb, so let's go all the way flat hull 361 straight away, which is 11,000 meters. So here we go, and new cruise hull flat hull 361, perfect. Then we can also go into the steps real quick, and we can remove that Vanvo up here. So you clear, thanks. Alright, so that's it. Estimated time of arrival 16:14, the schedule is 1700 if I'm not mistaken. Yep, so we are well ahead of schedule, and that's all we can do for now. Sit back, relax, and enjoy the flight with us. Well, 100 miles left to the top of descent. We are getting there, slowly but steadily. I really liked the views on the first half of our cruise. The second half was a little bit cloudy maybe, but overall a very enjoyable flight so far. So let's go ahead and plan our arrival into Amsterdam. We are going to start by obtaining the latest weather, so let's go down onto the ATC com page, de-ATIS, and update them all. So, Amsterdam, 300 at 10, slightly variable, few CBs, 8 degrees, QNH 999er, temporary light showers of rain. So first things first, let's dial in the QNH, and we don't need the meters down here anymore, so let's go ahead and turn those off. Alright, so QNH 999er, and that's set once and set twice. So our plan with runway 36 center is probably still current then, so let's stay on to that. Or what we could also do is to have a quick look at Flight Radar 24, see what they're up to and see what they're using in the real world at the moment. We have both options available. I'm kind of a fan to check Flight Radar just to be 100% on the safe side here with the currently active runways. And if we do check Flight Radar at this moment, then we can see that they are landing over here, so that's runway 27. Okay, so we are going to redo that, and we are going to enter runway 27 for the arrival. Shouldn't make much of a difference in terms of our top of descent, so easy going. First things first though, before I change the active, let's go ahead and make a copy of it. And now we can change that runway towards 27. The approach is going to be an ILS approach via the Ilde 1 Alpha arrival, and well, suppose we can enter via RTIP once again, but that's not really going to make too much of a difference as we'll go on radar vectors anyway for the arrival. So, first thing I want to know when I'm entering a new arrival is where will the top of descent be? Here it is, around 80 nautical miles in, so that's still easy going. Okay then. So let's grab the arrival charts. so we can go for Amsterdam, search. We do need a star, and there is only one star chart over here, which makes our life easy. And then for the arrivals themselves, let's search for the ILS approach onto runway 27. Here it is, ILS 27. And then we just need the ground charts. So we have the ground overview, and then we also need the parking stands. Oh god, there is far too many of them. Let's have a look at the overview chart. That normally tells you very nicely which chart you gotta look at. So we're parking over here, and it says CAPC main terminal. Alright, at the very top. And here we go. So that is pinned as well now. For the landing performance, let's synchronize the FMS and synchronize the current weather. Interestingly enough, this gives us QNH 1003, which is different from the META we requested, but normally this is more accurate, because this is coming straight from the simulator, while the META shown to us, or the ATIS request here, comes from the internet. So if the sim has slightly different weather, you will see it over here. Alright, so synchronize that and stop margin 1631, so that's fairly easy going. Then let's go ahead and have a look at the charts themselves. So the Beijing charts can be removed, and then we start on the RNAV charts for Amsterdam. Arrival, Eelde 1 Alpha. So, those displays start to get a little bit bright here. Let's dim them down a little bit. This is easier. So, from Kubat towards Eelde, and there's a node number 2 over here, which is 15 DME inbound Eelde below flight level 260. Okay, so, Kubat, insert next waypoint, and that's gonna be Echo Echo, come on. Will you let me type? Here we go. Echo Echo Lima / minus 15. Enter. And insert. Alright, PD point prior to Eelde, and that's gonna be at or below flight level 260. Alright, Tempe and insert, and that should give us a new topper descent as well. Alright, cool. So that's in. Then from Eelde we are going to continue towards Noven and then to RTIP, which is between levels 100 and 70 at a maximum of 250 knots. And if we scroll down a little bit, that's exactly what we have here. We can basically ignore this, all of this stuff over here. That's just going to worsen our calculations, so let's scroll down a little bit here. At Titvo, we are going to join the final. So what I'm going to do is I'll program RPEG direct Titvo. Or RTIP, my apologies. So insert next waypoint from the... No, not from the list. Okay. So, Titvo. Alright, and insert. So up RTIP Titvo. That's perfect. Alright, cool. So that's our flight plan entered. Then let's go over here onto the descent page. Speeds are looking good. Onto the approach page. Let's get the weather. So 330 at 10, 6 degrees, 1003. 330 at 10, 6 degrees, 1003. Alright. The minimum on this approach is 190. Alright, perfect. Position monitor, we are landing on EHAM 27. And for the go-around, acceleration altitude 1500. Alright, and that's our setup. That transition altitude is incorrect though. Let's quickly correct that. Transition flight level 40. Actually 50. Alright, cool. So that's our arrival programmed. Let's go ahead and find the airport chart. Amsterdam. Schiphol. Will you? Please? In progress. Taking a bit of time, but we're getting there. Slowly but steadily. Okay, here we are. So, runway 27. Set landing runway. And then wet braking distance ends over here. The runway is probably going to be wet, so let's plan November 4. Set BTV exit. Auto brake armed. And here we go. Alright, cool. That's our setup complete. So while the pilot monitoring is going to check all those entries now, we as pilot flying can go ahead and say bye-bye to our passengers. Ladies and gentlemen, from the flight deck, this is your captain speaking. We will start our descent towards Amsterdam in the next couple of minutes, and the remaining flight time is approximately half an hour. The weather in Amsterdam currently, occasional light showers of rain and a temperature of 6 degrees. Thank you very much for choosing to fly with China Southern today. We hope you enjoyed your stay on board as much as we enjoyed flying you to the Netherlands, and we hope to see you all again on board of a future flight. In the meantime though, thank you very much for being our guests. We wish you a nice and safe continuous journey and hope to see you all again soon. Alright, I'm back on. So, are you ready for the briefing? Yes, always ready. Excellent. So, we're arriving in Schiphol with an ILS approach runway 27. Ildo Alpha arrival, RTIP probably direct to the final approach fix. The minimum is 190 MSA 1800. In case of go around, it's gonna be 2,000 feet only, so rather low level of altitude. Consider reducing the thrust decline thrust early, but we'll get to that in a few moments. Well, apart from that, I have no specials, and in terms of extra fuel, well, let's go ahead and start the descent first. So that's descent alt flight level 260 blue. Alright, in terms of extra fuel, we have 25 minutes, 2,200 kilograms. Alright, thank you very much for that. Thrust descent. The approach will be a flight director guided ILS approach using config full, vacating the runway to the left hand side. And I'll tell you what, let's actually go for config 3 if we aren't too heavy. Well, we are rather heavy. What would config 3 give us? 152, no. Let's remain on config full here. Alright, so we will use idle reverse, vacate onto November 4 and then taxi to the apron from there. No hotspots for the taxi in, and I have nothing special or non-standard here. Can you think of anything? No? Beautiful, so that's our briefing completed. Approach checklist down to the line, please. Briefing confirmed, minimum, let's borrow 190. Approach checklist complete to the line. And we've passed flight level 100. The sun is slowly setting, but we are on great course to touch down just prior into the sun itself. Lights on, signs on, EFIS control panels are set, and LS is selected on either side. Well, and with that, we are prepared for our approach into Schiphol. Let's descend to flight level 50 down here to get the aircraft into a good position. Let's ensure that all our passengers actually have their mobile phones turned off. And with that, we are in, well, a little bit strange of a spot over here, because the very low transition level in Amsterdam means that we are only going to change over to QNH pretty late into the process. So transition altitude is 3000, as you can see on the bottom of the approach chart over here, and that can become a bit of an issue, especially if you only get cleared down to an altitude very late in the procedure. Because then you have to do the approach checklist thereafter, and then you have to do just so many things thereafter. Now, strangely enough, it looks like my OIS doesn't want to change over to the local airport chart. Well, we'll disregard that for the time being. Let's go to radar vector here, since we're past RTIP. Something like heading 235 or so should bring us onto a nice final approach. So, vertical speed heading, and then we can extend the center line, please. So, inbound Titvo, course in 266. Enter, insert. Alright, that's looking good. So, in order to avoid the issue that we just talked about, let's go down to 2000 straight away here. Thrust open descent alt, flight level 20 blue, set QNH. And a quick cross check that that is indeed the correct QNH for now. And that's looking good. Alright, so QNH 1003 cross check, passing 6000 now. Engine anti-ice on. Approach checklist below the line, please. Barrel reference, QNH 1003. Approach checklist complete. Alright, so far so good. So, 15 miles to Titvo, we need 9 miles to lose the altitude. So we are a little bit low on the profile at the moment. Speed, vertical speed. Quite beautiful, isn't it? Oh boy, these sound issues are really annoying. Had someone told me of those before I bought the 9800X3D, I probably wouldn't have bought it. I'd probably have tried another Intel. But yeah, gotta live with them now. So interestingly enough, it looks like our approach charts no longer want to load. Let me try something that we haven't opened before. Oh yeah, look at that. And they're all gone. Yoo-hoo, because why not? Well, third party... No, OAS settings, isn't it? And Navigraph charts. So we've just got to pin them again. So, ILS 27... And then we need the airport chart and the parking stand chart. Alright, and here we are. Cool, 14 miles out, 1,000 to go. Approach mode armed. Thrust out, open descent. Land 3 dual, autopilot 1 and 2, glide slope localizer blue. Activate approach phase. Slight right turn here, 240. Okay, here we go. Lockstar. That was even easier.
2,500.
Checked. We'll level the aircraft off in 2,000, let the speed reduce, and then we'll intercept the ILS nice and slowly. We do have some tailwind over here, and the wind during landing is going to be cross, so we got to keep that in mind. Engine anti-ice off. Also, we can dim the annunciator lights now. So, landing right into the sun. Well, can't do much about it. So, glide slope alive. However, we still have some time to configure the aircraft, so let's do things slowly. And then let's have a bit of fun, most importantly. Speed alt start. Approach 1. Alt. Flaps 1. Speed checked. Flaps 1. Right, flaps 2. Speed checked. Flaps 2. It might look slow in terms of the indicated airspeed, but the ground speed is actually rather high. For this reason, I'm slowing the airplane down so quickly. Glide slope star. Go around altitude 3000 set. Right, gear down, flaps 3. And flaps full. Speed checked, flaps full. Landing checklist. Cabin crew, advised, auto thrust, speed, auto brake, BTV, runway condition. Well, it's dry at the moment. Okay, landing checklist complete. Okay, slowly slowing down. Glide slope. And we're going fully stabilized through 1,000 feet. Can't see much, to be honest. This is why sunglasses are an absolute must for pilots, because you're technically speaking not supposed to have the sunshades up during landing. So, 10 knots crosswind from the right.
400. 300. 100 above. 200. Minimum.
Continue.
100. 50. 40. 30.
Retard.
20. 10. 5.
Spoilers! Reverse green, BTV. Alright, not this exit, but the next one, even though I feel we could easily have made this one. Manual brakes. Back to idle reverse. And here we go, exit to the left. Alright, Schiphol has a pretty interesting taxiway system. Basically, you always taxi on the right hand side. So you got taxiways Alpha and Bravo next to one another over here. And we are going to go straight across the outer one and then onto the inner taxiway. So that's the easiest way to remember this. Alright, so speed down to 10 knots to go around the turn. And then we'll go to the left over here. I want the airplane to be completely established on that taxiway before I'm going to run the after landing items. So let's do that first. And that's, by the way, pretty important. Many VATSIMers don't do that. They just stop somewhere, also because ATC often doesn't get you off the runway properly. There's a lot of ATC mistakes on VATSIM in regards to aircraft vacating the runway. Alright. So, here we go, and the engines can come out of reverse as well. And with that, welcome to Amsterdam Schiphol Airport. So, let's get the parking stands up. We're parking right over here, Echo 22 today. So, we've vacated up here November 4, crossed in Alpha 18, and now we're in Alpha. And then just around the turn, right onto Alpha 13. Into stand Echo 22. So, where's my GSX controls? Buggy platform, really. So, Echo Heavy. And we're looking at Echo 22. Follow me, no thanks. And handling by Avia Partner. Alright, after landing checklist. After landing checklist complete. So we turn right over here. Down towards 10 knots for the turn, but remember we're rather lightweight now. At 200 tons, so the aircraft is going to taxi without any thrust above idle. Alright, the APU is running. Then we've got Echo 24 over here, and then 22 is over here. Looks like we're parking right into the sun. Lights off. Down to 7 knots, and here we go. So, the guidance system is on. Sun is coming directly from the side. Let's put that sunshade up. So, Airbus 350-900 is on the guidance. Very slow over here, and then 4 meters, 3, 2, 1, stop. Alright, parking brake set, APU bleed on, and number 1 and number 2. And that's 10 hours 37 flight time, coming to a conclusion. flight crew, all doors in park. And the engines are running down. Beacon off, seatbelts off. Fuel pumps off. So, GSX. Request deboarding. Shocks in, GPU on. And with the GPU on, let's go ahead and shut down the APU, because it really isn't that warm outside, 5 degrees only. That shall be more than sufficient. Parking checklist, please. So, external lights are set. Parking brake are chocks. Brake set. Transponder standby. APU bleed is already off. So, parking checklist is complete. Alright, they are connecting at the front, it seems. Fine with me. Well, and with that, welcome to Amsterdam. Let's cross-check the fuel that we've used during the flight. We're at 61.5 tons, and we were supposed to use, well, 60 tons, so we used 1.5 more than we were actually expected to use. Alright, that's noted. We did use a performance factor of 100 today, so we probably need to use like 101, 102-ish for this to be accurate, but we'll just leave it at that for now. So, thank you very much for watching, everyone. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did. I surely had a blast flying this one. Be sure to leave your feedback in the comments underneath the video. As always, like, comment and subscribe, and if you really love what I'm doing on this channel, I would appreciate a small donation through the Buy Me Coffee link in the video description below. Thank you very much for watching, and I'm looking forward to see you all again on the next one.